Morning. Hope everyone's good. Just having a quick flick through, adjusting some positions where we closed, what was still open. So just bear with me for 2 seconds. Where did we enter? EU yesterday. Did I enter? I'm sure I entered EU. I might actually be entered at 21.17. 3. 21.17.3. Won't bother with that at the moment. So yeah, let's have a little look and we'll run through some positions. Obviously, Euro USD, we did see the push down, fire into the 50 region, and then the long back to the upside. I personally am still involved in this. I got caught for break even and re-entered same place. Just a little bit higher fractionally by a couple of pips. So I am still in Euro USD short. I still like it for all the time that we're trading below 21.20. I think the short side of it makes a lot of sense. I am also involved in... I'm not in GA anymore. We spoke about this yesterday though, that Pound Oz. And that push up, and then obviously to see the pullbacks. We spoke about it on Pound Oz. We spoke about it on Pound New Zealand. Obviously, I was short Pound New Zealand. We come into 92 as we talked about on the live, and then obviously we've rolled back over. We were literally about 100 pips up just now. We're seeing a slight snap and a pullback, but the fact that we've got this lower high broken back below the lows, I do think that we have scope to certainly push back into kind of 90, 50, 90, 60 region. But obviously where we're sat at the moment, we've got all this support that we've used here. We're using this same support region as before. And obviously we've got potential resistance zones as well. So we do just need to be mindful. But as things stand, I'm just going to get rid of that. That's not relevant to us at the moment. As things stand, obviously, the short looks the most favourable option until we break back above the highs. If we can break 91.80, then I will certainly be looking to take the long though. I am also Euro New Zealand short. Have been since last night. We're starting to see a little push. That's not the ideal scenario currently. I don't particularly like that, but we're also just coming into the European Open and we're going to come into the London Open as well. But we've spoken about the potential for... We spoke about potential for Euro weakness yesterday. And obviously the possibility of uncertainty around the Eurozone, and obviously the fact that they want to weaken off the potential for them to want to weaken off their currency. We've also got unemployment rates for Germany, which is obviously a massive player, and GDP this morning for the euro also. So I'm going to stick in it just because I'm a few pips up from... I'm about 30 pips up from the position I was in overnight. So regardless if I get stopped, I'm still coming out of it in profit. which is obviously the most important thing, and a nicely in profit for the week also, which is a massive positive, a massive bonus. So yeah, I am currently Euro New Zealand short. I'm just gonna plot that in here. I don't think my entry was quite as low as 94, but we will just have a look. $69.03. So yeah, we're currently chilling about 7 pips in a loss at the minute, but I'm content with that. We'll let it go. We've only got a 20 pip stop loss on the pair anyway. Pretty sure stop loss is in place at 30. Yeah, so let's be a little bit more precise. No, stop loss at 30, should I say. So we've got a 25 pip stop loss and target down at the 80 level. So I'm more than content. A little 3 to 1. That would be a nice way to finish the week off if that comes good. Aussie Swiss, we come out of yesterday. We saw obviously the fact that we'd got the engulfing pattern. Just zoom in. We'd seen quite a large rejection. It's not the fact that it particularly even came in from anywhere overly significant, but we did see the rejection, and obviously we have to be mindful of that. Also, after the push down that we had seen, the pullback was always the most likely scenario to play out once we had established some area to find resistance from. We clearly found it, and that pushed back up. It was a good close. And obviously we did quite well out of it. We got it wasn't quite 80 pips. It was about 76 pips that we closed for. So always a good thing, always a positive. It was a nice position, simple setup from the break of consolidation. So we will take it. We'll see what happens. We'll see how things run. If obviously the Aussie continues to garner a little bit of strength, then I will probably look to take a pound Oz into the latter part of this afternoon. But I think for the time being, at least, Aussie Swiss as a pair is dead in the water. And attentions probably will turn to pound Oz at some point if we continue to see rejection. If we can break back below the 50 level, I'll probably look to take a position. I think we'll probably pop below 78 at some point this morning. And this is a different chart to what was marked up on over here. So I can see Euro New Zealand rejecting already, which is quite nice. The fact that obviously we've now started to break back into this previous range. I'm going to do that. You can see previous little range that we've been caught in, where we've used it as resistance previously. We're now clean back inside of that. A pop back out of the 70 level at the bottom will see the pair absolutely plummet into 68. So it could be a good entry. Euro USD, I'm not so sure about at the moment. Stops at break even, so if we get stopped at break even, so be it. I don't think the dollar's having a particularly great morning today, so we shall wait and see. We'll wait that one out. So yeah, if obviously, like I say, we do see and we do get. I'm just going to remove the drawings off of here. We're going fresh. If we do see and continue to see a push down on pound Oz, the fact that we're making this lower high gives ourselves obviously a great opportunity to come back into this 77.50 region. Anyone who like trades these pairs know that kind of around the 50 and the whole numbers, we tend to see quite a lot of movement surrounding like Euro Oz and Pound Oz. They seem to be like naturally given targets. So if we continue to see that push out at the bottom of 78.50, then I will probably look to take. Obviously, you can see where these things are respected all the time. It's so simplistic, so easy. There's nothing complicated about trading, or at least from like a technical standpoint. The only complications come in from us as people. But it's pretty clear to see that if you get below the 78.50 region, 78.40 region, that 77.40 is pretty much a given. All right, you could probably move that up a little bit higher into the 50 zone, just to be sure. But that's complete no man's land. That drop will occur relatively quickly as you go up, as quickly as you come down. Take gold yesterday. Just going to bring that over because it doesn't need to be that far. But gold yesterday, you see the push up, and I was chatting to, it makes a difference who I was chatting to. But I was chatting to someone yesterday who had caught the move to the upside, and it was like, well, you know damn well that when something like this occurs, that much momentum, that much of a kick that's come from fundamentals, that snapback's almost certain. You're coming back to that same level. That's a given. Like, get out, take your money and run. There is no point being involved in something when you get that much of a momentum, that much of a kick. You've essentially been gifted free money. Why would you turn it down? Just take it off a table and run. At no point, your analysis might have said that you were reaching 65, or 62, or whatever it may be. Let's be perfectly honest, you're probably going to have wanted to come into this region at 60. So let's say your analysis said you were going to reach 60 and you reach 60 and there's still obviously a fair bit of momentum that's carrying through. Why would you want to continue to hold? Just come out. You were happy with 60 at one point, so why hold that any longer? You might as well just come out of the market, take the money and run. There's no point being involved in things that are so fundamentally driven or that have only occurred because of a freak situation. It's like all the honestly, it makes you laugh, doesn't it? For anyone that it follows the financial markets in general, or actually just reads a newspaper, would have obviously seen this like GameStop pump, which has made me laugh. The fact that people believe that they're going to overpower billionaire hedge funds and bully them into submission is beyond comprehension. And all those people that invested at the top from fear of missing out, thinking that it was inevitable that they would win, and are now sitting hundreds of thousands of dollars down. How thick are you? Pound New Zealand, we've already covered. The fact that we've now got lower high, lower low, huge thing. I am going to set a sell limit at 91.40, just to see if we pull up, make that higher, lower high, and then see a push back to the downside. But in all honesty, I envision that we're going to come into 90.50 before that happens. But there will be a pullback, there will be a swing for it eventually, and then as we see time and time again with certainly Pound New Zealand, Pound Oz, come Friday night, let's see if we can find last Friday. Here. See that massive push. There it always is. I don't know why. I don't understand it personally. There seems to be no real reason behind it. but we see a sharp drop like the last couple of minutes of trading on Friday with pound New Zealand. It always drops to the downside. I don't know why. Unfortunately, it's usually too quick and spreads are too high to ever catch the momentum. But yeah, it makes you giggle, doesn't it? It makes you laugh how it happens and occurs. What else did I want to look through? CAD Swiss we come out of yesterday. I do still see this pushing to the downside, and obviously we have a big risk to reward on it. So for anyone that's still involved in it, fair play to you. For anybody that's looking to hold, I think you've certainly done a better job than me, and we should find that target at some point today. If you were to pull it over, you're almost certain, I would have said almost certain to hit target today. In fact, probably you're going to fire into at the 90 level before seeing any kind of retracement or pullback on that. If we just come out of this and go to CAD Yen, I know that didn't have a bad day yesterday either. Saw plenty of opportunities to trade away from this level that we'd already highlighted, and I know that a lot of people caught it. A lot of people were talking to me about it yesterday. So it's not something that I've been looking at since earlier in the week, as it's just become very choppy and very clear that there's no real direction. However, the fact that we're starting to see these, again, lower high, lower low situation come into play, if we reject from 80-40 and close somewhere around 35, then I will look to take a short position on that. Just going to alert that level just so that I get notified when that occurs, because I think it will, and it would be good to try and take one last position on that throughout the week. Euro, New Zealand. Just need to have that up so that I can keep an eye on it. Euro dollar, I still firmly believe in the downside. I was talking about this Euro dollar and Euro yen last night. I think it makes the most sense. A retest to this level was always going to happen once we had seen a breakthrough yesterday and last night. So relatively content with the price action that we're seeing at the moment. I don't think long should be taken into account until 21.40 is taken out. And for all the time that we are sat below that, more than happy to be involved. We'd quite like to see rejection away from this level at 15. Purely because I don't particularly want to get stopped for break even again. However, we shall see what happens if I do get stopped for break even, then I'll probably look to just immediately re-enter the position. I still think that push down is quite likely, and probably even actually the break back below. But we shall see. What did I also take last night? I took New Zealand USD. Now I am out of this position now, but again, that pullback last night seemed the most logical option, and I took a position. Pretty sure I took it quite high up actually. Let's have a look. New Zealand USD. Nope. Open price. $71. Oh, not as high as I thought it was actually. 81.5. So not as high as I thought it was. Definitely didn't have a 30 pip stop loss, so I had like 15 pip stop loss. So come out of that this morning. I'm pretty sure it wasn't until about 6:30 that I came out of it. So jumped out of that. If we break back below the lows, then I'll probably look to take the short. You can see where, again, we've come into this region. It doesn't tie in particularly well with Euro New Zealand or Pound New Zealand. But last night, obviously, we were starting to see this situation occur where the pullback on Pound New Zealand was almost certain as well. So that pullback on New Zealand dollar made the most sense. I think firing into this support region clearly was quite an obvious scenario this morning. So we'll see how we play out. I think keeping an eye on Euro, USD, gold, and I really like New Zealand dollar. I think the short looks lovely. Aussie dollar also looked really good for the short last night, but there was fundamentals overnight, so I didn't particularly want to take it. I haven't actually looked at it yet to see what it did. I mean, yeah, the short was lovely. Again, a similar kind of time. Could certainly have taken the short last night for 40 pips this morning. Like the pullback looked lovely. It was clearly obvious. Like it was one of the clearest things you were probably going to see, and it looks as if it might continue a little bit lower, definitely into like the whole number potentially, or at least 76.20. So we'll keep an eye on it. I'd prefer to see the move on Euro USD than I would anything else, just because it's a position I'm already in, and I also want Euro New Zealand to drop, but that seems to have popped back up. We'll just continue to monitor and see how price action fares with that. But pound Oz, pound New Zealand, there is certainly scope to understand that these pullbacks have probably occurred and that the upside is probably the likely scenario, in which case 79.50 will come into play. And for pound New Zealand, I don't want to take anything until 92 goes, which I know seems a bit silly considering as that's the best part of 80 pips away still. But given the rejections that we've seen away from 92, it would be stupid to take a long position until that region is taken out. I'll tell you what, I've got a new brand of coffee and it is lovely. So yeah, we shall see what happens. Pound New Zealand, Pound Oz. There's plenty to suggest that they might be over and done with now, but we shall have to see. Probably see by about 10 o'clock if there's any real direction there. If not, then like I say, we'll turn attentions to the long. I think Pound Oz sets up above 79.50. I don't think you have to worry too much about the rejection that we saw from 79.20, from 79.80 even. So I think you're pretty safe there, and then once that goes, it becomes obviously pretty clear what we're looking at. Fire into the whole number, pop above, fire back into previous highs and lows at 82. So obviously these pairs have huge amounts of reward potential and they move so fast, so they're well worth keeping an eye on. It's just if you can time the momentum, you won't find anything nicer to trade. It's like gold. If you can time it perfectly, then you're onto a winner. If you're fractionally out, you're going to get stung and it will hurt really bad. So can be a double-edged sword at times. I think Euro USD breaks above. I'm going to get stopped on that, but I think the upside on gold as well above the 50 level looks quite promising. Put the level in, take out the previous support region at 49.80, so let's just call it the 50 level. So 18.50, I think that makes a lot of sense as well. So we shall see how we progress. And there's not too much else to be looking at this morning. Obviously, CAD Swiss we've already spoke about. Euro USD. There we go. Just been stopped for break even on that. That's fine. If we, I hazard a guess as towards this is more of the dollar weakness, some dollar weakness than it is Euro strength this morning. Like I say, I know that we've got fundamentals out this morning, the unemployment figures. Oh, Germany's unemployment figures were good as well. Better than expected. Alright, I just want to see how might come out of Euro New Zealand for a couple of pips loss. Because we've got GDP, and as much as I don't think it's going to be very good, they are also projecting that it's at 0, which would imply that it's going to be pretty difficult to come in much lower. I don't know. We shall see. We'll wait it out, actually, to be fair. It's been an alright week. I'm relatively content gambling for 20 pips. So we'll see what happens. The rejections are promising. Like, if I was to look at the position and think, would I want to be involved in a short at the moment? My answer would definitely be yes. So I think it makes sense to stay in the trade for a second. Seeing that momentum push down quickly. Michael Jackson, I said who the Mac now. Oh, there's a lot to think about this morning, isn't there? I worry about this GDP. I want to just take profit, I think. Why won't anything update quick enough? Tell me what it is. Before the chart does. So that unemployment. That's fine. I don't want to know that. I want to know GDP. Alright, I mean, it looks as if probably going to need to take profit, just come out of it. I can't see what the GDP figures are, and when fundamental moves like this occur, what we typically see is a push in the opposite direction and then a push back the other way, pretty sharpish. So I'm out of that. I am out of that. Pound New Zealand though, that looks to have dropped. Aussie New Zealand. I imagine Pound Oz is about to drop. Pound Oz I would be relatively content to take if you're not in it. You could definitely look to take a Pound Oz short. Back down to that 50 level if you wanted to. You could get not a relatively tight stop loss, but you could definitely get away with a Pound Oz short. 30 pips stop loss. I would target 77.50, but be prepared to come out at 78. So looking at a potential 2-1. But yeah, it's not a bad day. The sun looks like it's coming out a little bit here, so I'm going to try and get out for a little mooch and a little walk, get myself out of the house. But I hope everyone has a decent day, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is you're up to. I hope it goes well. But apart from that, I am out. It's been a decent week. Thank you all for coming and tuning in, and for everyone that watches after the event. I know that getting up and watching live in the mornings isn't always appropriate, especially with work commitments and things, so I do appreciate it. And anyone that watches the streams back, gives me a reason to get out of bed in the mornings and actually look over some charts and not be lazy. Because I will be the first to admit that sometimes I can be extremely lazy and I can just watch from my bed, trading on my phone, and not particularly being overly disciplined about it. So it gives me a reason to get up and out of bed. So I do appreciate it. Hope everyone has a decent day, decent weekend, and I will catch up with you on Monday.